for you so you knew what was going on. Wide receiver market, it's pretty hot. There are a lot of wide receivers that are free agents this year. We saw, unfortunately for Allen Robinson, he got left out. He doesn't get to hit the free agent market this year. He gets to stay with the Chicago Bears. That's the biggest loss to this free agent class. Other than that, it is stacked.
That's like pissing your mom off and you don't get to go to Carowinds anymore and she makes you clean your room instead.
Aww.
The Chicago Bears are the cleaning your room of the NFL.
Curtis Samuel being number 2 on your list is...
Love him. Drunk on him, just scattered, smothered, covered, drunker, damn it. People that call me country in the... first of all, come up with a better... Come on. We all know that. I look like Hank Williams Jr. Of course I'm country. I'm plastered on Curtis Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
If I had... I will tell you there are... The beauty of doing this now is that now we're getting rumors about where these guys could go. Somebody's laughing at my Nelson Agholor in the comments. He's going to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Paid. Paid.
He had a really good year for Las Vegas this year.
He's one of the hottest names on the free agent market. He's hotter than Corey Davis or Will Fuller as of right now.
Mm-hmm.
I could not physically put, and I'll be honest with you, it was hard for me to put him above Marvin Jones, but I did begrudgingly.
He's actually, for me, a guy that makes me question Carson Wentz. Like, I'm a believer in Carson Wentz. But seeing how good Nelson Agholor was this past season made me think maybe there was something to the relationship between him and Carson Wentz, because he couldn't catch the ball well in Philadelphia. He had a lot of drops in Philadelphia.
And that's the quarterback's fault.
No,
that's like plastering. That's like getting drunk, plastering your car into a bridge, and blaming the BMW. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
I'm not saying it's Carson Wentz's fault. I'm just saying it made me wonder. Maybe it was the quarterback,
or maybe it was the gloves. Nelson Agholor couldn't have caught a cold in a fucking freezer if you had doused him in water. His hands were awful, and the reason he's so low is because of that. His good is fantastic. The problem is that I've seen him go full on Bart Simpson Butterfingers, and I can't forget that.
But there was a whole lot less of that when he was in Las Vegas this past year. And he did exactly what he had to do to set himself up to get a big payday, and I agree with you. I think that's coming.
The top 7 guys on the screen, other than Antonio Brown, are all going to get paid. And I'm going to make a sweeping declaration right now. Kenny Golladay is going to the Dolphins. I have this weird feeling that Kenny Golladay and Aaron Jones are both going to end up with the Miami Dolphins. And that's going to be their splashy to make Tua Tagovailoa look better. And I'll be honest with you.
It would.
It would.
It'd work.
You roll into next year with Devontae Parker, Kenny Golladay, Mike Gesicki, and Aaron Jones. Okay then.
Yeah, that's a team to be feared in that
if you're bad next year, you're not going to have a whole lot of excuses. And that line, the line is ridiculous. The Dolphins are one of those teams that it pains me to say this, but they're going to be really good for a really long time.
Who else is getting paid?
Curtis Samuel's going to get way more than you think he is. And I can tell you definitively, it's between 2 teams, and they both play in the same stadium. It's the Jets and the Giants. They're both going to be all in on Curtis Samuel. First of all, he's from Brooklyn. He's made it very clear that if he leaves Carolina, that it's probably going to be for somewhere closer to home. And he fits in Mike LaFleur's offense like a glove. I love the thought of him being a Jet.
Yeah.
My fear is that we're going to make a run at Curtis Samuel and wind up with Juju Smith-Schuster.
That's definitely going to be a disappointment, because Curtis Samuel to me is a guy who can do a lot of things. He's not a number 1 to me. Do you disagree?
Juju?
No, Curtis Samuel.
Curtis Samuel fits really
piece.
well in specific offenses. Mike LaFleur's offense, he would be Brandon Ayuk. He's the motion guy. But here's the thing. I like Juju in that offense too, because I think Juju could be Deebo Samuel. And both are very important to that offense. My fear is that if the Jets miss on Samuel, they're going to they'll retain Jamison Crowder and try to make him that Ayuk slot motion guy. And that I don't love that. Which Deebo did a lot of that too. This is a multiple. God, I'm so excited for how good this offense is going to look. I've missed being able to score points.
Will Fuller is going to get a big payday as well, and so will Corey Davis.
I think Corey Davis is going to wind up with the Ravens. It makes too much sense. He's not a number one receiver, but he's a hell of a two. Mm-hmm. And he can block, and he fits that scheme, and he's got pretty good hands. He's just a physical receiver. Mm-hmm. A lot of the knock on him has been, he can't get open. He can as a two. And if you put him opposite Hollywood Brown with Mark Andrews lined up inside of him, I'll bet you he gets open.
He'll find a way.
He's a guy I like a lot. I'm watching the tape on Corey Davis. I've gotten more to a point where I think he can be a back-end one, high-end two.
Mm-hmm. I think that he is going to be one of the guys that gets paid. Will Fuller's going to get paid. Why not Antonio Brown? You left him out of that group that's going to get big money. Is it it's the character issues and nothing
because
else?
He's a freaking lunatic. Mm-hmm. That's why. Because he is absolutely out of his freaking mind.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
And you're
about
never going to forget that. I mean, here's the thing. No matter how good he is, first of all, I think he goes back to Tampa Bay. I firmly believe that. I've thought that the whole time. Because I just don't think there's going to be that much of a market for him. Mm-hmm. I mean, be really honest with yourself. Look at the teams with realistic money. Who's going to look at Antonio Brown and go, yeah, let's do that? I mean, I'll wait.
Yeah.
Because I've already looked at it, and I don't see one. I'll be honest with you, I think Marvin Jones Jr. gets more money than Antonio Brown does.
It would not surprise me. I mean, you're getting a sounder investment in doing that because you don't know when this thing could blow up. Yeah, he was good. He was good for what, 6 weeks, 7 or 8 weeks, something like that with Tom Brady. Send him somewhere else. And, you never know what you're going to get. 3 weeks into mini camps or whatever, you could lose him forever. Because it just takes one time.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Once we're done with the free agents, you're going to see my list of receivers in the draft, and you're going to see why all of these guys, outside of the high-end guys, basically the first three on this screen right here, other than them, they're all going to get less money than you think. I've heard 5 years for 70 for Will Fuller. I don't buy it. I think you're going to see 5 at 70 for Kenny Golladay. You might see 4 at 50 or 4 at 60 for Juju Smith-Schuster. And I think Curtis Samuel's going to get 5 at about 50 as a slot guy.
Wow.
Just follow the market. We had this cap number not that long ago. Jamison Crowder made the most money of any slot receiver, and he was not as multiple as Curtis Samuel. He got $10+ million a year.
And there are only going to be a few teams that can get on them. Who would be best served by addressing wide receiver in free agency? We got the Dolphins, obviously.
The Dolphins and the Jets are the two primaries. The Bears need one, but they're broke. So I think the Bears are going to try to address that with Darnell Mooney as the 2 and try to figure out another outside guy or another Darnell Mooney in the slot and figure out another outside guy to pair with Allen Robinson. Teams that could try to address it, the Colts. The Colts is a big one. And frankly, every team that has big money needs a receiver.
True.
And so that's why I think the high-end 3 are going to wind up with getting paid. Golladay in Indianapolis makes a lot of sense, too, by the way. Alshon Jeffrey on steroids.
You got the Jaguars, the Jets, the Patriots, and the Colts. Those are the top 4 teams that all have money.
The Jaguars are the only one I don't see throwing big money at a receiver. They probably will make a run at Curtis Samuel. But the receiver I thought they would be after was Chris Godwin, and he didn't make it to the market. So I think the Jaguars are going to spend their money elsewhere. And probably, based on what I saw yesterday, spend it poorly.
Right. But once it all shakes out after that, there's going to be a lot of deals being made.
The one that I'm the most confident in is Will Fuller winds up in Green Bay. They were too hard after him at the deadline.
Right.
Now, how they make the money work, I have no idea. This might be one of those deals that has 10 voidable years. At this point, who knows? We're just making this shit up as we go along. But Will Fuller, I can tell you that Brian Gutekunst, the GM of Green Bay, really likes Will Fuller. Tried very hard to get him at the deadline, and it just didn't work.
All right. How about in the draft? The NFL draft class is stacked.
And this is so few of them. This is just 9 of what could end up being 20 starters out of this class.
I mean, you've got possible impacts into the immediate impact receivers into the 3rd round of the draft?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I look at a guy like Rashad Bateman, who I have at 9, and a lot of people are going to grizzle at that and say, why do you have Terrace Marshall and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Shi Smith above him? Because he is a dumpster fire between the ears. Now I can finally tell you what I've been teasing about Rashad Bateman for months. He's a dumpster fire between the ears. Talent's great. He didn't look great this year, and then he ultimately opted out and spun around and twirled the baton and did all kinds of ridiculous shit. That's going to hurt him. He's going to go markedly lower than people think he will. Unless he kills the interviews, which I've been repeatedly told he's not going to.
Red flag after red flag after red flag with him.
Yep.
I mean, he's a guy that there was a lot of talk going into this past season as he could be a first-round draft pick. But you say it's not going to happen.
Bateman?
Yeah.
I think he goes back into the 2nd, beginning of the 3rd. Shi Smith is the guy that I'm going to be way higher on than everybody else, and I promise you I'm right. He's going to wind up in a San Francisco-type offense. I'm not saying he goes to San Francisco. I'm saying he ends up in that type of offense. What we were just talking about with Curtis Samuel, and he's going to be a star. I want you to think, here's what jumps off the screen about the tape with me, for me with Shi Smith. Every team they played knew where the ball was going. It didn't matter. In the SEC, it did not matter. He was the only legitimate receiver on that team. Florida double-teamed him, and he still beat them sideways. Doesn't matter. He's that good. I frankly almost had him above Terrace Marshall. There's one great big difference between those two. Terrace Marshall is a giant human being. And I do see, if you told me one of them was going to become a 1, it's Terrace Marshall. But I don't like the initial burst with Marshall. His ability to get off the line scares me. He's going to need to be, I'll tell you where I would love Terrace Marshall, is as a replacement for Corey Davis in Tennessee. They run so much play action that if there's any indecision by the corner and he's allowed to straight line burst, he's going to be damn near impossible to stop. But that's where he needs to fall in. Baltimore, that's another place I would love Terrace Marshall. And I see him mocked there a lot because he would give Lamar that big receiver if they miss on a Golladay, if they don't pursue, a Corey Davis. I would really like him in Baltimore.
Amon-Ra St. Brown is a guy that stands out on this list to me. You've got him ranked at number 6. I think he is overlooked by a lot of guys that I have, read their draft analysis, and there's some don't have him very high.
Most don't have him. I have him higher than anybody you're going to see.
Amon-Ra St. Brown to me though he's been an impact player for USC since he was a freshman.
He has the thing that people are going to, the knock on him is going to be that sometimes he lets the ball get into his body. Can he separate at the next level? I have none of these fears. They said the same thing about Michael Pittman. How'd that work out? And they strike me as the same guy. I mean, they were tutored by the same set of coaches. Amon-Ra St. Brown was, to me, arguably the better talent. I think Michael Pittman's just a bulldog when it comes to getting his body right and think of his dad. His dad played for your Buccaneers. He has the same mindset his dad had. Amon-Ra St. Brown is, I think, overlooked by the whole community. I think he's one of those guys that next year we're going to look at that's on the all-rookie. He's on all the all-rookie teams because he wound up as the 2 receiver on a good team, and he was a difference maker. Indianapolis. I would love to see him paired with Michael Pittman. Now, you'd need Paris Campbell to be a thing.
Right.
Which I don't think is ever going to happen.
Really?
But, no. He just can't stay healthy. He played 9 games in 2 years.
Yeah. It's been a very rough start for him, but, I'm still holding out hope. Because I think he's going to be useful once he is healthy.
I agree. He's very fast. But the next 2 guys are virtually the same player. They're both speedy little slot guys. I feel like I have tarried on Rondale more than everybody else has. He's dropped off the table. There are a lot of analysts that have watched the tape on him, and salary cap's $182.5. It fell in split the difference of what I thought it would be and where it was. Breaking news.
Breaking news.
I like Rondale Moore a lot. Rondale Moore, to me, reminds me so much of Randall Cobb that I can't get away from it. He just does a lot of things. He's very multiple. I've always loved him in Green Bay because he strikes me as a guy that could be Randall Cobb 2.0. And I really like that. But now the one I love is Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney's going to go as the fourth receiver in this class, and I have almost no doubt of that. He has screamed up draft boards since the season ended.
Yeah.
I like him a lot.
Kadarius Toney out of Florida. I did not see Tylan Wallace up there.
He's not my top.
He's a guy that I really like.
Okay, you tell me who on that screen you're going to take off.
Oh no, I'm not saying. I'm just saying to me he's the next one on the list.
Maybe. He might be the next one on my list. I don't remember. Guys that I really like that are not on the screen. I mean, frankly, you know about Devonte Smith. I don't really know how the receivers are going to, the top three are going to go. I feel like Devonte Smith is going to slide a little bit. I think Jamar Chase may end up going first. As time goes on, you get him in front of you, you get the opt-out thing explained, he may end up going first.
I think he deserves to go first.
I don't, but that's just me. I've always been down on LSU receivers. Well, that's not true. That's not true.
And
I was down on all of the Joe Burrow LSU wide receivers,
right.
And I was wrong on Justin Jefferson.
Right, because the quarterback matters, and he had one of the best ones of all time throwing to him last year, and the fact that he opted out after he found out that he wasn't really going to have a quarterback this year, you knock him for that.
The opt-out thing makes me nervous. I think all of the opt-out guys are going to fall. Jamar Chase is the one that's his tape is so good. And Justin Jefferson, I'm going to call this the Justin Jefferson effect.
Yes.
Is that so many teams missed on Jefferson last year because they thought the same thing I did, that Joe Burrow made him look better than he was, that Jamar Chase might. And Jamar Chase was the better of the two.
Indeed.
And he may end up going first. Plus, there are knocks on DeVonta Smith and Jaylen Waddle. The DeVonta Smith thing, I think DeVonta Smith kept himself from going to Miami when he told a scout, when asked who did he prefer, Tua or Mac Jones, he didn't even let him finish the sentence before he said Mac Jones. And said it very dogmatically, apparently.
We know about at least I'm more familiar with the ACC guys. We know De'Ami Brown and Daz Newsome and Sage Surratt. Those are all guys that I've watched. Well, hell, I've watched Sage Surratt since he was playing at, I think it was East Lincoln High School. What about some of these other guys, though, like Dwayne Eskridge from Western Michigan?
He's going to go stupidly high. His biggest comp is Tyreek Hill. He came to the Senior Bowl and dominated, which is going to greatly elevate his stock. The knock on him is going to be competition because he played at a smaller school, but he is ignorantly fast. This is a guy that will scream up draft boards. I had him originally going in the 5th. I could see him going in the 2nd now. He's just that fast.
There are a lot of wide receivers to be had in the draft. I mean, you go down to Tutu Atwell.
Tutu Atwell's a guy that I'm probably too low on. He should probably be on the screen, if I'm being really honest with you.
That high?
Yeah, he's good. He's another slot guy, but that's what the NFL's becoming. Walter Football,
guys, yeah.
Walter Football, which is one of the websites that I reference the most. I love those guys. They're fantastic at what they do, and they're a little contrarian. They see things similarly sometimes the way I do. The problem with Atwell, he's going to run. He will run well. The problem with him is at best he probably weighs 165 pounds. He's a very little guy. And it'll have to be a team that's okay with that thinks he can that he can hold up. But I think he's a guy that we could be talking about down the line is, damn, how did we let him fall so far?
Yeah.
Because he's just a playmaker.
Yeah, if you have a team, if you're a team that doesn't have a whole lot of money and you need a wide receiver, this is a great position to be in. 2 drafts in a row, we've had stocked with wide receivers.
Oh, I mean, if you need a slot receiver, this is the year. I mean, between Shi Smith, who I've already talked about, Eli Moore from Ole Miss, Tutu Atwell, Demetric Felton from UCLA is going to be a slot receiver in the NFL. There's just a ton of guys that I think are going to be tremendously good players.
How many wide receivers in the first round?
I will say a fifth one sneaks in. Devonte Smith definitively will. Jaylen Waddle is going to go higher than you think he will. Playing in the national title game is going to be something that NFL GMs and NFL coaches specifically look at and go, I want that guy on my team. Plus, he's fast as fuck.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase will. Kadarius Toney will. I'm going to throw Terrace Marshall in there because I think there's too many teams at the back end of the first round that could use a guy like that. He's a very big, height, weight, speed guy. And there probably will be a wide receivers coach somewhere that thinks they can teach him to fix the deficiencies.
Yeah. Well, the Green Bay Packers pick at 29. They'll be a prime candidate to throw somebody in there at the end of the first round.
That's what we all think, and we've said that a bunch of times. But in the words of one of our former presidents, fool me once, can't fool me again. And that's how I feel about Green Bay.
Oh, wait. I've got the button. Here.
Fool me once. Shame on you.
Oh.
If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
All right, yeah.
That button
was
goes
the
for a
president.
long time.
That was the president. He was doing his fool me once, can't fool me again.
I love having the buttons, but we have to figure out a way for them to
We'll hook it up. I've been scattered lately, and I just haven't been to. I've been meaning to. It's one of those weeks where I've been meaning to go to the store for like 5 days, and I just haven't been able to do it because I've had so much going on, working over the weekend with 6 basketball games and football on Friday night. It's been hell. I'll get it worked out though. We'll fix it up so everything's nice and cozy. Be sure to like and follow the Sportsocracy. Hit that subscribe button here on YouTube. I'm Tank Spencer. He's Jeremy Greene. Time to hit it for the off-season files, our next edition.